Here's the truth. If you don't force yourself to take action, nothing in your life will change. You'll keep thinking about it, you'll keep talking about it, you'll keep promising yourself you'll start tomorrow, and deep down, you'll know you're lying to yourself. You don't need more time, you don't need to feel ready, you need to move, right now, not next week, not after you feel motivated, right now. Most people waste years waiting for the perfect moment. But the people who grow fast, the people who actually get ahead, they do one thing differently. They act before they feel ready. That's how momentum is built. That's how you gain control over your life again. This audiobook will teach you how to stop overthinking, how to beat that lazy voice in your head, and how to move even when you don't want to. No hype, no big talk, just real action, starting today. Chapter 1. Get tired of your own excuses and move. You know, there comes a time in your life when you just get tired of your own excuses. You don't need anyone to yell at you. You don't need another motivational quote. What you really need is a moment of truth with yourself. A moment where you stop playing games with your own potential. A moment where you sit down and finally say, I've had enough. Because here's the truth. Nothing changes until you get tired. Tired of being behind. Tired of breaking promises to yourself. Tired of waking up every morning knowing you could do more. Tired of seeing your potential sit there while your time runs out. And at some point you realize it's not about what's going on outside. It's about the decisions you're making on the inside. It's not the weather, it's not your job, it's not other people. It's you. You're the reason things haven't moved forward, and you're the only one who can change that. Excuses are easy. You don't need training to come up with an excuse. You don't need discipline to make yourself feel better about not doing something. But that excuse doesn't stop time. It doesn't stop consequences. It doesn't pause life until you're ready. All it does is rob you quietly and slowly while you try to explain to yourself why you haven't taken action. Most people don't fail because they can't do it. They fail because they keep saying, not today. They keep hoping that motivation will hit them in the face and magically fix their life. But here's what you learn as you grow. Motivation is not coming. Motivation is not reliable. It's not the spark you wait for. It's the reward you earn after taking action you didn't feel like taking. You move first. You decide first. You take the first step while your emotions are still dragging behind. And you won't feel ready. You won't feel like it. But that's the test. The test isn't how good you are when you feel amazing. The test is what you do when everything in you wants to delay, wants to hide, wants to scroll, wants to talk instead of move. That's the real moment of strength. That's where confidence is built. That's where discipline starts to take root. Some people spend 5 years planning and 0 days acting. They write lists. They talk about their goals. They think deeply. But they never force themselves to act when it's uncomfortable. And if you keep doing that, life will slip right past you. 1 year, then another, and another, until the frustration becomes unbearable, until your own excuses no longer sound convincing, not even to yourself. That's the day when the change begins, when you hear yourself say the same thing one too many times, and you finally go quiet and move. If you want to get ahead, if you want real change, stop trying to feel better first. Start by taking one action, one phone call, one workout, one uncomfortable conversation, one item off your list, 1 hour of focused work. That's how it starts. That's how you take the power back. That's how you stop being stuck. The mind will give you every reason to stop. It will say, you're tired. It will say you're not good enough. It will say it's too late. And the longer you listen to that voice, the more it becomes your truth. But here's the key. You can override that voice. You can cut it off. You can say, no, I'm doing this anyway. And when you do that, something shifts. Your brain starts to follow your body. Your mood starts to catch up to your action, and you stop being a slave to feelings. Because feelings are temporary. Regret lasts longer. And you don't want to live a life where you look back and realize you let your future slip away because you kept giving in to a lazy moment. Nobody's coming to push you. Nobody's going to force you. You have to force yourself. That's the truth. And I'll tell you something else. There's power in doing things before you feel like it. There's power in showing yourself that you don't need to be motivated, you just need to decide. Once you learn that, your life will change forever. You'll stop waiting, you'll stop searching, you'll stop depending on perfect conditions, and you'll get things done. Because you said so. You don't rise by doing easy things. You rise by pushing yourself when it would be easier to do nothing. And every time you choose action over avoidance, you build something stronger inside of you. You build trust. You build grit. You build a mindset that doesn't depend on comfort to be productive. This is how winners live. They don't wait until the mood strikes. They show up when it's cold, when it's uncomfortable, when they're tired, when their friends are out, when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, because they made a decision and they stick to it. Ask yourself, how many opportunities have I missed because I waited too long? How many times have I let fear decide for me? How many promises have I made to myself and then broken? That's the pain that builds over time. That's the weight you carry when you keep choosing comfort over growth. But you can change that today, not next week, not when things settle down, not when it feels right, today. All it takes is one decision. I will not let this day pass without doing something that matters. I will not end this day without progress. And no matter how small it is, I will move forward. The first step is never easy. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, it's filled with doubt. But it's also the most powerful moment you'll ever experience, because once you take it, everything else starts to shift. Your mind starts to quiet down, your doubts start to shrink, and your identity begins to change. From someone who waits to someone who moves. That's the mindset you want. That's the strength you need. To be the kind of person who doesn't need perfect energy or a perfect plan. You just need one reason to begin. And that reason is this. You're tired of your own excuses. You know what it feels like to let yourself down. You've been through enough of that. So now, it's time to build something better, something solid, something real. And that starts with action. Right now. Not big action. Just one move that proves to yourself that you're serious. You want more discipline? Do the thing you've been avoiding. You want more confidence? Keep showing up until you earn it. You want to stop being stuck? Stop overthinking and take the next step that's right in front of you. No hacks, no tricks, just decisions. You don't get your life back by wishing. You get it back by doing. You change your story by refusing to play the same part every day. And every time you force yourself to take action when you don't feel like it, you become a stronger version of yourself. That's the goal. That's the mission. No one can give you that kind of strength. You have to earn it, and the way you earn it is by showing up again and again, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. That's where the breakthrough lives. So stop waiting. Stop planning the perfect moment. Stop needing permission. Just act. Start small, start tired, start unsure, but start. Because once you start, you're no longer stuck. And when you keep moving, you start to believe. You start to change. You start to become exactly who you said you would be. And that's when life begins to shift. Not because something outside changed, but because you did. You got tired of your excuses, and you finally moved. That's what turns everything around. Chapter 2. Do it now, before your mind talks you out. You've got about 5 seconds. That's how long you have before your mind starts working against you. You get the thought to do something, to get up, to speak up, to start working to break the pattern. And if you don't move on it immediately, your brain will find a way to pull you back. That hesitation, that delay, that tiny moment where you pause to think, it's the crack your old habits use to slip back in and take over. And that's the problem for most people. They don't understand how fast the mind can talk them out of action. You think you're being careful, but what's really happening is you're being controlled by fear, by doubt, by comfort, and by the same patterns that have kept you stuck. Action doesn't belong to the thinker, it belongs to the doer. And the only way to win that internal battle is to move before your mind can stop you. You already know what needs to be done. You're not confused, you're not lost, you're just caught in a loop of hesitation. You keep waiting for the moment when you'll feel ready, feel inspired, or feel confident. But that moment never comes first. It only comes after you move. You don't wait for confidence, you build it. You don't wait for clarity, you create it. And the only way to do that is to start doing what you know you need to do before your mind convinces you not to. Your brain is always going to prioritize safety. It wants to protect you from discomfort. So the moment you get a hard idea, something outside your routine, something that requires effort, it will immediately try to bring you back to what's familiar. It'll give you thoughts like, do it later, or maybe this isn't the right time, or what if it doesn't work out? But here's what you need to realize. Those thoughts are automatic. They're not wisdom, they're not reason, they're resistance. And if you keep listening to them, you will never move forward. You'll just live on repeat, stuck in the same cycle of wanting change but never doing enough to create it. There's a real cost to waiting. It's not neutral. Every time you delay, you lose momentum. Every time you overthink, you make the problem bigger in your mind. And eventually the energy you had to take action is gone. Not because you couldn't do it, but because you allowed the window to close. That's what people don't realize. Action has a short window. If you don't take it when it shows up, it fades. And the more you do that, the more you train yourself to retreat. You've got to move fast when you feel it. You've got to act before your old self shows up and starts questioning everything. That's how you build discipline. Not by making big speeches to yourself, but by catching the moment and acting before the excuses come in. Get up before you argue with the alarm. Make the call before you second-guess it. Say yes before fear has a chance to negotiate with you. That's how change happens, by doing the thing, not talking about it. You'll never feel like doing hard things. That's the reality. You're not going to wake up one day and magically feel excited about challenges. That's why you need to make action your habit, not a reaction to motivation. The people who get ahead aren't better than you, they're not smarter or lucky, they've just trained themselves to act quickly. They don't give their mind time to pull them back. They feel the resistance and they move anyway. That's the secret. You have to treat hesitation like a red flag. The moment you notice yourself stalling, you push yourself into motion. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait until you feel emotionally prepared. That's how people lose years of their life. They keep preparing, planning, researching, and waiting. But nothing beats action. You learn more from 5 minutes of doing than 5 hours of thinking. And every time you act quickly, you get stronger. You build a new pattern, you start trusting yourself again. Most people don't trust themselves because they've broken too many of their own promises. They say they're going to start, but they don't. They say they're going to change, but they delay. And every time they do that, their self-respect takes a hit. But you can turn that around. The moment you start acting on your first impulse, not the second, not the third, you begin to rebuild your self-trust. And that's what gives you confidence. Not compliments, not books, not videos, action. Everything you want is on the other side of that hesitation. Every goal, every result, every breakthrough, it's all sitting behind that first uncomfortable move. The only thing that separates you from it is the choice to act now, not tomorrow, not after you think about it, now. Because once you start acting fast, everything changes. You stop wasting energy. You stop spiraling in your thoughts. You stop giving fear the microphone, and you take control again. This is the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't. The people who move when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when it's scary, they're the ones who change. The ones who wait until it feels right, they stay stuck. And the truth is, it'll never feel right. That's why you have to train yourself to move before your emotions talk you out of it. You've got to become someone who does. You know what you need to do. That's not the problem. You've known for a long time. The only thing stopping you is the habit of hesitation, and you break that habit by catching it in the act. The moment you feel it creeping in, that second when you start to think, maybe I'll do it later, interrupt it. Stand up, move, do one thing that gets you closer. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done now. Action creates clarity. Action creates confidence. Action creates results. Nothing else does. And once you understand that, you stop arguing with yourself. You stop justifying delays. You stop trying to feel better before doing better. And you take back your time, your focus, your power. The world isn't waiting for you. The opportunity doesn't pause while you hesitate. Time doesn't slow down to give you more chance. Life rewards action. That's the rule. And if you want to start winning, you've got to obey that rule. That means moving quickly, showing up when it's hard, and not giving your brain space to sabotage you. You'll never feel ready. So what? Do it anyway. You'll feel fear. That's normal. Do it anyway. You'll doubt yourself. That's part of the process. Do it anyway. Because every time you act when it's uncomfortable, you build strength that lasts. That strength shows up when you need it. That strength is what carries you through setbacks. And that strength is built by doing things before your mind talks you out. This is not about perfection. It's about motion. It's about making progress before your emotions kill your momentum. And if you can do that, if you can keep moving forward, even when it's messy, you'll outgrow your excuses. You'll outwork your doubt. And you'll become someone who gets things done, no matter what. It all starts with a decision. I will act now. I will not delay. I will not overthink. I will not wait for the perfect moment. I will move before my mind stops me, and I will keep moving until the habit of fast action becomes who I am, because that's where the power lives. Not in thinking, not in planning, in doing. Now, Chapter 3. Break the cycle of overthinking by doing something small. Overthinking will wear you down before you've even begun. It's one of the quietest ways people ruin their progress. They don't mean to stop. They don't say, "I quit." What they do is sit there, thinking, analyzing, questioning, worrying, and eventually doing nothing. And the problem is, it feels like you're doing something. It feels like planning. It feels like preparing, but it's not. It's just delay dressed up like strategy. The truth is, you're not stuck because you don't know enough. You're stuck because you won't take the first step. Most people don't realize how dangerous that mental spiral can be. You start with a small decision, something simple, and then your brain turns it into a complicated mess. You tell yourself you're just being cautious, but what's really happening is you're trying to predict every possible outcome so you never feel discomfort. You want a guarantee. You want a result before taking the risk. But life doesn't work that way. You don't get the reward first, you move first. And you figure it out after you've started, not before. The fastest way to destroy that cycle is to do something small. Something so small your brain can't make it a threat. You're not trying to win the game in one move. You're just getting yourself in motion. And once you do that, everything shifts. Because movement changes your mental state. It gives your brain something new to focus on. And that focus breaks the loop of overthinking. You can't spiral in doubt and take action at the same time. Your mind can only go in one direction at once, so the second you move, even just a little, you interrupt the loop. Think about all the times you've sat on something for days. You kept saying, "I need to figure it out," and then one day you finally did something, anything, and it wasn't even that hard. What changed? Not the problem. You changed. You finally got out of your head and into your life. And it happened because you took a step, not a perfect one, just a step. That's all it takes. Not a grand plan, not a massive overhaul, just one decision that leads to motion. Overthinking feels safe. That's why people stay there. You don't have to face rejection when you're still planning. You don't have to feel failure when it's all in your mind. But the longer you stay there, the worse it gets. You start questioning everything. Your confidence fades. Your ideas feel overwhelming. You convince yourself it's too late or too complicated, and soon you've buried the very thing you said mattered to you. Not because you failed, but because you waited. The way out is action, even if it's small, especially if it's small. Big changes scare the brain, but small ones? They slip past the resistance. You want to start writing? Open a document and type one sentence. You want to fix your health? Go for a 10-minute walk. You want to get out of debt? Cancel one unnecessary subscription today. That's how you get back in control. By taking back the moment. By reminding yourself that you don't have to solve everything right now. You just have to do something. Success isn't about never overthinking. It's about catching yourself early and choosing a better response. It's about building the habit of doing instead of delaying.